I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I hope that you've had a really great week. For those of you who are new to Mental Health Moment, welcome. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. For those of you who tune in every single Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, welcome back. I hope that you are doing absolutely amazing today. And for those of you who are new to Mental Health Moment, every first Tuesday of the month, which is today, every first Tuesday of the month is devoted specifically to children's mental health, to youth mental health, because our kids and teens are really experiencing quite a lot right now. And hi, thanks for those who are starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. And then the other Tuesdays of the month, we talk about all things related to mental health and wellness and how you can become the best version of who you are for yourself and those around you. Good evening for you guys joining from Atlanta and Zephyr Hills. Welcome, welcome. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. So today, on today's mental health moment, I want to share with you all some tips of really how to deal with youth and everything that's really been happening, especially coming out of COVID-19 pandemic. There have been so many changes with when it comes to schooling, when it comes to the stress level, really that our youth are under, and a lot of kids and teens have been struggling with depression and with anxiety, in particular, again, dealing with the last couple of years. And hi, thanks for those who are still starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Welcome from Australia. Thanks for joining. Um, so, so there's a couple things that we can really think about, no matter if you are a parent watching this, if you're not a parent watching this, if you work with children, or if you know of someone who has children. Definitely this message is for you, because again, there's really been quite a lot of youth who are really struggling with mental health, understandably, especially as we've come out of COVID. And even though, depending on where you live globally, COVID-19 may have different effects. Nonetheless, globally, our children really have been impacted by this. And hi, thanks for those who are still starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. So the first thing to really think about is this idea of really checking in with youth. And I cannot remember what school it was, but I saw an article recently, which I loved, where there was this school who the teacher was starting to check in on a daily basis with children. Now, that's not to say that we're trying to make teachers mental health professionals. However, one of the things that we can do, whether it is in schools, whether it's in communities, whether it's within your own circle of friends and family members, is to make sure our children, like, how are you doing? Checking in with them. Are they okay? Because again, there's a lot of youth that are not okay. Now, does that mean that every single child, every single teen is going to be, divulging their life story or their stress, that the stress that they're dealing with? Not necessarily. But what it does for these teens and what it does for these children is show them that someone cares. Because a lot of children, a lot of teens feel like they are all alone in their mental health struggles, whether it's a depression, anxiety, or whatever it is. And there are millions and millions of children who experience a lot of different mental health conditions, right? But for kids and for teens and adults too, frankly. But since today we're talking about our kids and our teens, they feel like they're alone in that. So imagine someone reaching out to them. Imagine them feeling like, hey, someone cares about me, which may or may not be in their home. But when the community reaches out and says, hey, how are you? When teachers are reaching out and saying, hey, how are you? When family, friends, or whomever, again, whomever it is in your life are reaching out to them, this can really, really be impactful. And hi, thanks for those who are still starting to join here. Welcome from Kenya. Welcome, welcome. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. So again, no matter where you live in the world, I really want you to think about how we can be reaching out to our youth, how we can show them that we care as a community in whatever whatever role you serve with the children in your life. The second thing to really be thinking about is, are they, someone said here, self-care check-ins are imperative. Yep. I feel, I feel like getting a feel for their likes and dislikes, maybe a local BIPOC or MHA social emotional health group. Definitely. And what's so fascinating is I'm always, obviously, because being a psychologist and in the mental health field, I'm always paying very close attention to what's happening globally with our youth and what's happening in different communities. And it's very fascinating to me because depending on where you live in the world, there are just some really amazing communities, like that person said, that have gone above and beyond, frankly, and are checking in with youth and are making sure they're okay, making sure they understand self-care as well. I know we talk at length on Mental Health Moment for those of you who tune in every week about your own self-care and how you could take care of yourself. But also, as we are checking in, it takes a village, right? As we are checking in with our youth, are we encouraging their own self-care? Are we encouraging them to be the best versions of who they are, which is very important. And it is never too early to do that. It really isn't. Even at preschool ages, we can teach them how to have self-care. We can teach 3, 4, 5-year-olds, they understand deep breathing. There's a lot of different things you can do to teach them how to control themselves. I know, yes, definitely a 3-year-old and a 13-year-old have a lot different level of self-control, hopefully. A lot different level. And of course, it's a different type of conversation, but it's still equally important, again, whether it's preschool, elementary, middle, or high school. Um, and older for our younger adults as well. Someone said, good morning from Pakistan. Welcome, welcome. It's important to check in with children daily. It begins with the connection process, builds trust, and makes them feel safe. Absolutely. And I cannot tell you, I'm glad you brought that up. I cannot tell you all how many people in general, I mean, youth included, who don't feel that sense of safety after COVID. What happened was people went on the alert of, or I shouldn't say people, but kids and teens too, went on the alert of, am I going to catch COVID? Does someone have COVID? Is someone sick from COVID? Like, there was so much of that happening in their brains along with their daily lives. It was very impactful. And still today, as we're almost in a couple months rounding out a new year, there's a lot of youth that are still in that boat, who are very distressed, very anxious, very depressed, and a lot of lingering things, a lot of lingering effects happening from the COVID-19 pandemic. So very, very important, as someone mentioned, to make sure that we're helping them rebuild their sense of safety. And hi, thanks for joining from Ohio, Papua New Guinea. Welcome, welcome. The Bronx is in the house. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. And again, because it's the first Tuesday of the month, today we are talking about all things related to youth mental health. So one, definitely make sure that we are checking in with our children. Also, make sure that we're thinking about, what are you in your local community utilizing the best resources for this youth that you know of? Um, Generally, in my experience, there's a lot of resources out there depending on what community, but they are not always utilized. So whatever that resource is, whether it's a self-esteem group, let's say, for certain kids that may need that, whether it's something to help with behavior or self-control, whether it's mental health therapy, whether there's a wellness, uh, some type of wellness community connection that they can get involved with, right? There's Big Brothers Big Sisters programs like that. So there's a lot of different types of resources for children to be well, if you will. Wellness comes in a lot of different forms depending on what this child needs. For some children, they're very active. They may be into sports. For some children, they may be into music. For some children, they may be amazing in a group and connecting with other people who they feel heard and seen from. And for some kids, they're not at all interested in a group and they may need some one-on-one care of some sort, right? So again, it's really important for us to be thinking about, again, whether you're working with children, it's your own children, grandchildren, or family friend, or whomever it is that you can think of in your community. When it relates to children, what do they need? And starting from there, and what resources do they have? Because again, I understand a mental health moment, this is a global community, and throughout the world. We all have different resources. We all have different abilities and what we're able to offer youth. The most important thing is really to be thinking about how can I make the most of the resources that are around me? And sometimes, and thanks for joining from Egypt here. And sometimes we have to get creative, right? I mean, what may be happening on one side of the world may not be happening on the other side of the world as far as mental health resources. So a lot of times we might have to get creative, but remember therapy, or I shouldn't say therapy, but wellness help for children and for teens comes in many different forms. No matter where you live in the world, most children and teens most want to feel a sense of connection, want to feel loved, want to feel understood. These are the basic needs of many humans, right? So they most want to have that experience. So even providing that in whatever format you can is going to be important when we think about youth mental health globally. Someone said they are vacationing in Alaska and watching. Welcome, welcome. Enjoy your vacation too. Thanks for tuning in. Someone said we help our preschoolers practice breathing techniques and allow them a safe place in the classroom to self-soothe and calm down. Wonderful. When it comes to schooling again globally, I understand there's a lot of different types of schools. There's a lot of different resources. I know some schools are amazing at adding in mindfulness time. It might be yoga, it might be meditation, it might be checking in. Some schools not so much, right? There's just a large variety when it comes to the education system, but again, it's so critically important for us as a community to be thinking about how can we help our youth? How can I support youth mental health? Um, and someone said individual care to address the community social determinants of health. Yes, very true. So sometimes it's individual, sometimes it's group, sometimes it's a combination, and it's all good. Hi from Atlanta. Welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining here. And for those of you who are just tuning in here, it's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Today, because it's the first Tuesday of the month, every first Tuesday of the month, we talk about different aspects of youth mental health. So for children and for teens, and what we can do to help them. Because again, a lot of children struggling right now, whether it's depression, anxiety, ADHD, there's still a lot of effects happening from COVID-19 and what that did to the system of mental health and education and children and their lives, right? So really critically important right now to make sure we really put a lot more support into our communities when it comes to children to help their mental health. Someone else said, yes, understand the local resource in the community. Youth mental health can also be addressed by talking to your network. And I was about to say brain power time, rest, also telling our youth to rest. Yes. You know what? Excuse me. You know what's interesting about rest is it's funny because I just spent some time with some teens talking about mental health, and rest came up. And it's very fascinating because it is important to teach rest, but it's also really, really important to teach our youth to understand and learn to listen to your body. Uh, I wish I had had that lesson when I was a teenager. I totally did not. And I wish someone had taught that. But the reason why it's important is because your body does not lie to you. So when teens, especially and children, learn about their body, sometimes your body is telling you you need to slow down and you need to take a break and take a rest, right? But sometimes your body is very energetic and you can do all these things and accomplish all these things, which is great. But understanding and learning where you're at mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually is going to be really, really important. And this is something we talk a lot about on Mental Health Moment, but also for our youth, really important for us to be teaching them. So we need to check in with them as a community, but we also have to teach them to understand and check in with themselves. Like, where are you at mentally? Where are you at emotionally? Where are you at spiritually, physically? And again, different conversations if you're 5 versus 15, right? Different conversations and how we do that. But at every level, it's really helpful. And it's really a gift when we teach our youth early how to access that and how to think about checking in with themselves and what to do about it. Um, and someone else said, yes, it's very important for the body to get rest. Yes, absolutely. And knowing when you need that rest, as we mentioned, very, very important. Sometimes you need the rest, and sometimes, for some teens, they need to be doing some other sort of activity that brings them joy, which is okay because we're all different, right? Every single one of us, the way we experience joy, it comes in many different forms, and that's okay. The way that we are emotionally and physically and emotionally, spiritually healthy comes in a lot of different forms. So it's really important. And hi, blessings to you as well. Thanks for joining. So it's really important for us to teach our youth that it is okay to be who they are. A lot of youth are being discredited for whoever they are, but it's really important for us to celebrate, for us to help them celebrate who they are as a person. If they want to do whatever it is they want to do that is a healthy habit, but maybe none of their other friends are doing it, that is okay. That makes them unique, and that's who they are, right? So having these sort of conversations and validating, helping teens and children to validate who they are really going to be important, because the world around is not validating most of the time. I mean, when we see on social media the negativity, when we hear about the bullying in schools, when we hear about the cyberbullying, all these sorts of things, listen, kids and teens are bombarded with negative messages about who they are. So when we as a community take the time to say, you know what, you're pretty amazing, it's okay who you are, these habits that you have to create joy in your life, incredible, great job, right? And we have that source of support. We are that source of support for them. It really goes a long way. Um, Blessings to you as well. Thanks so much for joining here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moments. So today we've really been thinking, or not thinking, I've been thinking, but we've been talking about youth mental health, and really some tips and some ways for us as a community to be checking in with our youth, but also teaching them to check in with themselves as well, and teaching them about self-care and having these conversations. And one of the most common questions I get when I do speaking engagements, one of the most common questions I get is, when should children start to learn all these things? And I always say, every time, if possible, they need to be learning these things in the preschool ages, because yes, it's important to do high school curriculums. Yes, it's important to do middle school curriculums. But when age appropriately, we are teaching our youth, our little ones, the 3, 4, 5-year-olds, when we're teaching the young ones too, how to manage and how to have self-control, how to have joy, how to do deep breathing, all these sorts of things. We're teaching them early. And again, the conversations obviously change, but we're teaching them early to establish these healthy patterns for them. Um, Yeah, so true. Thank you. Thank you so much. So if you all need me at any time, you all know where to reach me, drnikishahammond.com. You can also go to any of my social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to connect with you. If you need a mental health resource for a child, please let me know. I'm more than happy to try to connect you with a resource for children and for teens, because again, there's been a lot. There's been a lot happening with our youth, but I really believe that as a community, because I've seen it. I'm not just saying what I hope. I've seen it with some communities that just rally around youth, and just there's just amazing programs and different things that communities have done to really help and support youth and really better their lives, and really help them to be amazing individuals, frankly, and support their mental health. So because I've seen it, I know it's possible. So I encourage that for you today, to think about how you can support a youth. Maybe you know of one in your life. You're like, yeah, I really need to, be reaching out and checking in with them, or maybe just in general, in whatever way you can support youth, that would be absolutely amazing, because they definitely need our support for sure. And thank you to you as well. So again, but if you need me, drnikishahammond.com, or any of my social media channels, and I will be back next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page, LinkedIn Live, and YouTube Live. So have an amazing week. Thank you so much. Someone said the self-care is for us and for younger people also is so needed. Absolutely. They need it too, you all. Our young kids and teens, they definitely need this information too, about the self-care and about taking care of themselves and us supporting them. But have an amazing week, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, y'all.